up ahead, slow me down, I'm making no time. I gotta keep on rolling. Those are windshield wipers slapping out the tempo, baby, perfect rhythm with the song on the radio.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thursday Roundtable. We are minus one Steve Rodeo Roundtable person, so we are all here tonight. So we have a fantastic group of people here tonight. First of all, hi, I am Kim from Kim's Side Money Plans. Steve, I am sorry. We will probably screw this up for you, but we will try our best. So, on that happy note, and I know I have to do opposite. There we go. So next to me is Cheyenne, Gig Work Mama. Next to Cheyenne is Tony, the Driven Dad. Wave Tony. Okay, Tony's on mute. Down here, hey Brandon, how are you? The Dashing Grandpa. And oh, I did this right. And over here is Tom Kelly. So welcome. Oh, there's Tony.
Tony up there hiding.
I know we have a lot to talk about tonight. And there are some fantastic people here. So before we get started, I am going to quickly say hi to everybody in the chat. And then Tom is going to kick us off with some Lyft information, or I should say a Lyft article that he was going to talk about last week. And we're going to get into it tonight. So first of all, hey, Tommy, how are you? MRDSN, how are you? Traveler, what's going on? Tom Kelly, hi. Thomas Mathis, what's up? Kevin, how are you? Becky, what's going on? The Driven Fan, hey Lisa, what's going on? Bubba Sue, how are you? Bud Soda, Tony already here. Joe, and I think I got everybody who's here so far, so I apologize if I forgot anybody. So with that being said, Tom, why don't you kick us off and let's talk about Lyft.
Alrighty. Brandon, I'm getting a little feedback from you, I think. Are you got something going on?
No, let me turn my game down.
Much better. Thank you.
There you go.
All right. Thanks. Hey, okay. So Lyft, I said a year ago, last month, that Lyft would be gone by sometime in June 2024. I was wrong. And so I decided to figure out why I was wrong. What is it that still has Lyft there? And I've made this discovery. They have a good leader. I'm very suspicious of people like this, but I went in and started looking up this guy and doing research on this guy. His name is David Risher. You guys familiar with him? No, nobody's heard of David Risher before. So he was born in Chevy Chase, Maryland.
I never heard that name before.
Yeah, he was born into money. Then made his own fortune. You know it is. Takes money to make money. So he took his money and made a lot of money, and then decided to spend the last 10, 15 years going around the world. He founded something called World Reader. So he's going around the world helping poor children learn how to read. Like, what? I mean, he's actually like an okay dude. He doesn't have, the skeletons in his closet. He hasn't been accused of treating women wrong. He hasn't been accused of stealing from the funds or any of that kind of stuff. Instead, he's been working with a charity with registrations in Kenya, Ghana, India, United Kingdom, and others, where he's been going out and doing, with permission of Ghana's Ministry of Education and others, coming up with ways to help children read, which is really, really cool. He's been on the board for Lyft for several years. And then a couple of years ago, the founders, Logan Green and whatever the other guys were, They left, and it was determined before they left. They had announced to the board that it was time for them to, they've taken it as far as they could. They wanted to go do other things. Before they left, they formed a committee. And it was one of those things where they said, we think the best person to lead the company is already on the board. He already knows what we're doing. We already like the way he's led us here on the board. And so they asked David if he would take over. And at first he said no, because he was doing his other things. But then they kept leaning on him, and finally he did. He was, back before he got into all this charity stuff, he worked for Microsoft for a number of years, and then he worked for Amazon, and he took over Amazon's retail sales when they were 15 million, and he worked it up to a cool 4 billion. So he's a pretty smart guy, and he says a lot of the right things.
So my thesis is customer obsession is what drives profitable growth. Customer obsession drives profitable growth. And so the more we obsess over our riders, the more we obsess over our drivers, the more we're going to grow. And I love seeing the growth we've got. We've got good growth in the United States. We actually are seeing, we're just sort of on a tear in Canada, which is wonderful to see. That's an area of expansion.
So, first of all, I mean, who could argue with that, right?
So how does he get all the drivers on board with that mission?
So what do drivers need to be successful? Because he actually, if I was to play the whole thing, that was the question he was asked. How are you going to get the drivers excited? Drivers need riders.
Yeah.
Okay. If we don't have riders, we're not going to be successful. And so market share has grown from the low 20s to the low 30s, which may not seem like a lot. That's a lot in 1 year to go from 21, 22% to 31, 33%, somewhere in that area. That's a huge increase. And right now, as recently as yesterday, Wall Street's really starting to love this guy too, and they're loving what they're seeing out of Lyft. In their most recent posting, I'm not going to get into price per earning ratio and all that kind of good stuff for you guys, but let's put it this way: the analysts. Okay, so those of you who follow Wall Street at all know there's groups of analysts for each different sector of the economy, so that we're not comparing Lyft to Granite City Steel. We're comparing Lyft to things that are like Lyft, like Uber and other things like that. And they've become kind of excited about where Lyft is going as they see this starting to happen more and more as he's been able to grow market share doing a number of different things. We've seen them. Let's see, we've got, I thought I had that number right here in front of me. We've got several of these groups that have moved, just recently moved Lyft from a hold to a buy or a sell to a buy. So the 18 analysts who really look at this segment of the economy, all but one have it as a hold or a buy. One of them has it as a super buy. Another has it as a sell. So for the most part, analysts are at the very least saying, don't sell this stock right now. This is worth holding on to. And several have raised it up. We've seen just in the last week, multiple hedge funds starting to buy into Lyft. Not a lot, not a lot of money putting into it yet, but they're buying some of it. And one of the things I find most interesting is the people who have bought a lot of stock. David Risher and the board of directors. They have to, when they buy and sell, they have to put out there what they've done. Now, in the last couple of weeks, they've sold a bunch of it too, but that they're actually investing in the company is something that I always look for when I'm looking at a company. If I'm thinking about buying stock in that company, what are the board of directors doing? If they're selling, it's probably not a good time to get in. On the other hand, if they're buying a bunch of it, They know something I don't know because they're not
But
going to
the
buy
fact,
stock for something that they think is going to go down.
but the fact that they just sold a whole bunch, what does that mean?
That it's the beginning of the summer. I mean, different people sold different amount. Like one guy, he sold $58,000 worth, which only leaves him with 15 million. So what? He bought his daughter a Mercedes or something like that. So that they're selling bits and pieces doesn't bother me. If they were selling off 15 million, one guy sold 15 million, I'd be like, oh, these guys are getting out. But okay, so from that perspective, is the company stronger than we thought it was a year ago? Absolutely. Here's real life though. I'm not getting enough rides. I'm not getting enough rides with Lyft. So I spent today, much of the last week, shifting back and forth between Uber and Lyft, and I'm not using Gary's stuff right now because I need to see how much Lyft I'm going to get. And what Gary's doesn't tell me while I'm driving Uber is, well, you would have gotten this ride for Lyft. So I have to be able to see what's going on there. And I'm still getting probably 4 or 5 to 1 ratio of Uber to Lyft rides. And for what I want to make in a particular day, that's not good enough.
So, Tony, you're our other fellow rideshare person. So, what do you think about this? Do you think that you're seeing it being better with this new CEO? Like, what do you think?
All right. Well, let's just start off with deleting shared rides. That was a good thing. But then deleted the Lux category and then downgraded the Black category to Lux on pay. So I would say that overall, and then the 70-30 split that he says that we get, there's a lot of funny numbers going on with that category of fees and insurance. So I'll believe it when I actually make more money on Lyft than Uber. With
Great.
Uber, my lowest fare on UberX is like $5.07, and I can see as low as on Lyft as low as like $4.20 or so. So I don't know. I do like the boost that he puts out there. It's called Turbo, but I don't like that I get paid maybe a little bit less than what I got on the rate card when it was the rate card versus upfront fares. Still, even with the 40% boost, it's like, oh, I can make almost as much as I used to after they cut our pay when they went to upfront fares for the passengers and put us on a rate card instead of the real 70-30 split.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not saying Lyft has fixed their problems. I think they're in better shape right now and headed in a better direction than I did a year ago.
Yeah, I think overall,
I didn't what now.
What Lyft is doing is different than what they have done in the past when he wasn't the CEO, as far as trying things that Uber isn't doing, instead of always just copying Uber. But on the main things, they copied Uber. Like, Uber got rid of Select, which was the equivalent of Lux on Lyft. And so Uber had a higher standard of space needed in order for Black SUV, and now Lyft is also copying that. So yeah, there's things they still do copycat, but overall, I think even with the Black category available when I had the Tesla, I could make probably more money on Uber X with the surges that they have out there than I can on a Lyft Black. And that's one thing that Lyft does not surge very much. I mean, I get like a $1 or $2 surge maybe. Yeah. Versus on Uber, it'll be like surging up to 20, $30.
So let me ask you this, because I know a lot of rideshare drivers, obviously, and a lot of food delivery drivers, and a lot of everybody multi-apps in order to make their money. Can a driver just work a Lyft and do it full
Oh,
time?
That's where I'm saying I don't think so. That's what I was
in
going to ask.
Denver you can. In Denver you can. And you can do it with just you can in Denver, and you can do it with just a basic car, whatever Lyft Basic is called.
I have not been able to pull that off in Houston. Uber, I'm not joking. Except over the last 2 weeks, and driving almost every day, my total wait time when I'm looking for a ride and I don't have my filters on, I'm just sitting there looking for a ride. My total wait time over the last 2 weeks combined is less than 30 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think that if you
a long time with Lyft, I can turn it on and go 20 or 30 minutes before I get a ride.
I think if you hopped over to Austin for a test at some point, if that was something you could do, you would see it different, because Austin and Denver have similar demographics with like the millennials and the tech companies. And I think a lot of the early, mid, and late millennials prefer Lyft over Uber, just because like once they did that hashtag delete Uber thing way back in the day, like a lot of people that get in my car that do Lyft said they'll never do Uber again because of that whole thing with Travis Kalanick and everything. So
right.
I think that did still have him. And at this point, it's like, it's just the app they use now, so that they're locked in.
Yeah, this guy is the opposite of Travis.
Oh yeah, and
in
of
every single way.
Era as well, except for they're both smooth talkers.
Well, I mean, you don't.
They're salesmen. They got to be.
Yeah,
don't you have to be a smooth talker though to be a CEO? Like that's I feel
Travis
like that's
Kalanick
part of the job, right?
Yeah, no, unless you're the founder, you don't get there unless English is used right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the dashing grandpa on Brandon on tonight. How are you, Brandon? How are you?
Doing well, I think.
You think? Okay,
yeah,
fantastic.
I think so.
So you normally have a live show right after this. Do you have one tonight?
Yeah. I wasn't sure I was going to, but I decided since I'm going to be here, I might as well do it anyway. So
okay, fantastic.
I like hanging out with people anyway. So.
We love having you. So tell us. So Steve says that you're pivoting. So you are going to tell us how you're pivoting, what you're doing, what you're up to. So it's all you.
Well, actually, I just kind of fell into it because, I started YouTube doing like outdoor adventure stuff, fishing and hiking and stuff. And then I started getting into the gig apps, DoorDash and all that. But everything around here has slowed down so much. But occasionally I would buy stuff on Amazon and just write a little review, nothing formal, just a very simple review. And it kind of started going, and then Amazon wound up inviting me to join the Amazon buying program, which I'm not real sure I recommend it, but it got me where I'm at now. Anyway, it started just rolling, and now I've got sellers from all over the world sending me emails and products to review, and then I can put them on Amazon to earn commissions on that. I mean, it's not big money.
Yeah, but that's cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but if you get 50 here, 50 there, was it multiple sources, multiple streams of income, I think is how they word that. And it's actually kind of, like I said, I just kind of fell into it. But that's what I try to tell everybody that I know. Don't depend on the apps. Absolutely do not depend on the apps. They're good. And, like in my case, they were good because it gave me some free time to work on the Amazon stuff. If you're working an 8 to 5 or, a night shift or something, you don't have that much free time. But doing the gig apps, while you're sitting there waiting on an order, you can be doing other stuff related.
So if you probably don't want to reveal all your secrets, so I don't know how vague or how detailed you can be, but if I were to be an Amazon reviewer, like how would I go about doing it?
A lot of people, I've joined the Reddit group and a Facebook group, and I just mainly read what they have to say because, I've only been doing it about a year, so I'm still new at it. But a lot of people are just going through their house and reviewing a mouse and putting it on Amazon. But you have to have 3 reviews, and you submit those to Amazon to become an affiliate. And the affiliate, the links, on my videos, I put a link, to the mouse. But you don't make much money on that. Where you make your money is on the videos. Because if you can get into the videos, then you can start making a lot more commissions. We're talking $1,500 a month versus $75 a month. That's the difference between the links and the videos.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
So if you was wanting to get into it, that's what I would do, is try to become an associate. Anybody can become an associate. That's where you just get the links. But to become a video influencer, you got to join that program, and you have to have 3 reviews and get them submitted and approved, and just make them short and sweet. Don't elaborate on anything, because the more you talk, the more a chance you might make a mistake, because you never want to say, I recommend it, or this is the best, or you can get it for $9.95. You don't want to say anything like that. Just tell what it is, and then get those approved. Once you do that, then you can start having the longer content. And if you have a YouTube channel, I would suggest creating or switching your channel over. I just made a new channel, So.
Oh, so you have a new channel altogether?
Well, I've got Grandpa's Random Reviews.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got that, and of course, Dash and Grandpa. But it's slowly growing. But the thing of it, as most people know, is if you're into YouTubing, you really kind of need to have a niche. That's the only reason why I got monetized with Dash and Grandpa, because it was gig specific. There's a certain type of watchers, and with your reviews, that's why I just named it Random Reviews, because I may review a camera one day and a doggy door the next day. It's just totally random. So it's the slow growth. But if you enjoy doing it anyway,
Now, do you buy the stuff on Amazon and then review it, or do you just they send it to you?
A lot of people do. There's been a couple of things that I bought, but 99% of everything I get, it gets sent to me.
That's awesome.
The coolest thing I've got coming now, if it comes, that's the whole thing. Sometimes it comes and sometimes it doesn't, but I've got the skateboard with the handle on it. What do you call it? It's a little scooter thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, an electronic one. So that's supposed to be coming in.
Oh, I want to see a video of that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I made one Dirty Shoes Adventures. That's my other YouTube channel.
Are you going to do a spark on that?
That's what I was wondering. You're going to be on it and test drive it?
I know. I can picture this on your YouTube channel, just literally you zooming down the street.
I want a 360 camera so I can video myself. But it goes, they say it goes 21 miles an hour, and it can go up to 22 miles on a single charge. And I'm like, I could do a couple of door dashes on it. I don't know about doing Spark.
I was going to say, you can actually do some food delivery going on with that sucker.
Yeah, I could get logged on, and that's the whole thing is, if you're in an area or a market that you can make the money doing Rideshare and doing, DoorDash and stuff, ride the ride while it's there, because it won't be there forever.
Yeah.
It'll fade out, and other things will fade in, and you've got to be able to adapt and overcome and just keep moving forward. don't get set into trends. Just keep looking ahead, because if you're not keeping up with or ahead, you're going to fall behind, and then you're going to be in misery.
So here comes scooter rideshare.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Well, good for you.
Well,
Okay.
I'll give the kids a laugh being an old man out there on one of them scooter things.
I think it's really good that you're pivoted into that, or as you said, you fell into it, because it's true, multiple streams of income, and it's just the beginning, right? This is only the beginning.
That's the whole thing. Next year I'll be 60, and you don't want to just keep. You can't work 10, 12. Well, I mean, you can. I'm 59. I don't want to work 12 hours a day.
No.
And all this stuff, like the Amazon, while I'm in there sleeping or here talking with y'all, I'm making money. It may not be much. It may be $1, but $1 here, $1 there, it adds up, and it doesn't cost. You invest your time. Somebody asked me a while back I think it was Steve actually, somebody asked me about how much I thought I would make hourly doing the reviews, but you really can't do that. For one, I'm too meticulous on editing. If I goof up, I go back and cut it out, and then I start over. And instead of just running with it, I'm not good enough on the camera to just run with it. I'm just not like you have to go back and cut that out, and so you can't really count your time, because that depends on you as a person. If you're good and you can just spit it out, you're good to go. I mean, you can knock a video out, review it, video it, edit it, and have it online in an hour. It takes me half a day, but it's there.
Out there.
It's there, and it's going to keep making money as long as that product is on Amazon.
Exactly. That's some good passive income right there. And every single person in this chat can do that.
Yeah, you got to do something. And Mushimu, most of y'all have heard of Mushimu down in Florida. There for a while, he was doing the Goodwill stores, going in and buying stuff and reselling. I don't know if that worked out for him real well, but it was a little money, and it's probably a lot of time consuming, and then you got to ship it and stuff. But you always got to be trying to do different things, unless you want to just be I wouldn't say a stress-free life, but honestly, there's less stress in most, not all, but most W-2 jobs, where you can just go in there, do the job, and go home. These gig apps and all this stuff, you got to worry about you.
Yeah.
And so if you enjoy doing that, but just always be looking for different things.
Agreed.
Okay.
But speaking of scooters, Tony, I'm going to put you on the spot.
You're going to go to that story first, huh?
Well, I figured it was a good
forget
segue.
the order.
I'm like, it was a good segue.
It was a good segue. Ooh, segues.
I know, right?
Was that pun intended?
Exactly. Kim's on a roll.
Yeah, so there was a DoorDash driver who had a passenger with them who allegedly stole a scooter from a woman's house. And so this lady, the customer says that the DoorDasher was a lady who was driving, dropped off her food, and then a few minutes later, the passenger that was in the car with her came back and grabbed the scooter that was in her front yard, and that happened to be her daughter's friend's $700 scooter. And well, you know what, DoorDash was contacted by this customer, and DoorDash's response was that this is let me get to the actual quote here from DoorDash. What happened is absolutely unacceptable and clearly violates our policies. We have immediately deactivated the Dasher account involved. We deeply regret any stress and inconvenience this has caused the customer and have offered our support. Like,
But
what does
that's
any
this-
of that even really mean?
But they say that on
Wait, they
every single
immediately
news article.
deactivated?
Like, they didn't say they deactivated the Dasher. They deactivated that account because they know that it's probably not the same person who's doing the DoorDash that's on
No.
the account.
But let's talk
Oh my
about this for half a second. They say the same exact verbiage in any single article that has to do with the Dasher that they've done something wrong. Like if you actually go to like another article, it's like almost like word for word with it. They must have like a press release that I'm like, okay, we're gonna
They
give
just
them
have
this.
a-
This is the press release.
It's just part of their AI. ChatGPT broke for them. It just spits one response out.
Wow. So the Dasher stole. Do we know for sure that the Dasher actually stole the scooter?
That's why it says allegedly. I mean, it's
But that's
based
my
off
point.
of the
So
lady.
boom, you're
It's based off the lady
deactivated.
saying that. Yeah, it's based off the lady saying that. So she says, just after 4 p.m., a video obtained shows a gray car pull up to her home. The driver gets out and drops off the order on the porch. But minutes later, after the customer's daughter picks up the food, the camera shows a barefoot man walking up to the house and stealing your daughter's friend's $700 scooter. He then races back to the car that the Harris County Precinct 4 Constable's office said was being driven by the DoorDash driver. So they must
Okay.
have like
Well, then the
linked
police are
together
involved, so-
neighbors. Yeah, they
Okay.
must have linked together other people's rings and Nest cams and all those things to just kind of piece together the trajectory of where this guy came from and went to.
Why would you
Nowadays, I don't
attempt
think
to
it's
do
that hard. I know. So nowadays, I don't think it's that hard to do, right? So, how many times do you go to do any delivery and like you see like neighbors like hearing out and like you have like the nosiest neighbors ever known to man?
It's so true. But like really barefoot?
You steal a scooter barefoot. Aren't you afraid like your wheel is gonna like nick your toe?
Well, I mean,
so weird.
Harris County, is that over there in the Houston area? Or
It
that-
is. I'm in Harris County.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so you know that the you know what that police department or yeah, that's a police department. What they're having to deal with on a daily basis, I think a $700 scooter is probably the least of their worries.
Yeah, not not going to make it to the top of their list anytime soon.
I mean, if they saw it happen, they would probably do something about it, but after the fact,
maybe,
good luck.
maybe not.
I still can't get over barefoot. Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like what like it possesses you to go, oh, I'm gonna go steal a scooter and oh, I'm not gonna have any shoes on? Like I don't get that.
I mean,
So
you don't
wait,
want to
was-
leave. You don't want to leave your shoe prints because they watch forensic files and they're like, I don't want to
Seriously?
get caught by my shoe prints.
They rather leave the footprint.
But a footprint doesn't leave any marks whatsoever.
Right, but you
None.
don't get your feet don't get printed when you get arrested. It's your fingers.
It's your shoe.
Actually, your feet are printed when you're born, and they don't change. So
Oh yeah. That's true.
That's if they were born in a hospital, I guess.
That is true too. That's actually pretty funny. But wait, so the driver was a woman and she had like a passenger that was a guy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're kind of they're assuming a lot of pronouns here.
That's true.
I feel like there's a lot of loopholes we're missing. Does that make any sense? Like I feel like we're
Yeah,
missing.
I mean, the story
a big
was
part of the
pretty.
story.
It was pretty much like one sentence paragraphs here.
I imagine a little girl can just plan on getting a new scooter and forget it.
Yeah, I mean, if her parents could afford a $700 scooter, then she probably was able to get another one.
Yeah.
Unless she bought it herself with her lemonade stand money.
That would be really sad.
I know some
That's
kids.
a lot of lemonades.
I know some kids over here where I live Monday night got them a new billfold, credit cards, a knife, a flashlight, headphones, right out of my car.
Wow.
Wow.
We've got security cameras, but they point to the buildings, not to the parking lot.
Yeah.
So y'all know what I've been doing Tuesday, all day Tuesday and part of Wednesday.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Did they break the window, or they just how'd they get in?
No, I had went to Sam's Club, took my mother to Sam's Club, and I had a box in the trunk. And looking back on it and thinking on it, I think I just got the box out, brought it upstairs, and I never went back outside because I started doing reviews. And I guess I left it unlocked.
So they had to be going and testing.
Yeah. Well, the officer that came over, he said that's what a lot of kids are doing now. They're not breaking into cars per se. They're burglarizing them, but not breaking into them. But they just walk around and see what's unlocked. And,
yeah.
yeah.
When somebody broke into our car when we were young parents, they stole my CD player, but they like ripped it out and just left my dashboard all jacked up. And I was like, I would have just given you the stupid CD player if you would have asked for it, if you would just not break my dashboard.
These kids took the bank chime card and ordered something on PlayStation Gaming and some other little gaming website.
So that's
that's the only reason why I knew.
They're not very smart thieves there.
No, and they left $18 in the ashtray, the dash cam up on the windshield. They left stuff.
Definitely teenagers.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't want that. We just want to get a PlayStation game that can be traced back to my PlayStation.
And then it becomes a federal offense because they stole the card.
That could have been some millennials there because they do the same thing.
Well, the cops said,
leave the millennials alone.
I'm a millennial.
Are you a millennial?
I am 83.
I just assumed they was probably in their early 20s. The older teenagers are early to mid 20s.
Okay,
yeah.
So Gen Zs.
But that kind of leads you to a while back. There was a newspaper that a security officer in a complex fatally stopped someone, and it turned out it was a teenager. And I got to thinking about that, and I thought, what if I walked down here and I saw somebody getting in my car? Because in Texas, you have the right. You have to live with that decision.
Yeah.
But you have the legal right to do whatever you need to do to protect yourself, family, or property.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
I'm like,
things like that happen.
I was like, I would hate to be put in a situation like that. But it made me think about if I walk down there, because I carry sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think I maybe could just holler at them. But it kind of makes you start thinking about what would you do?
What would you do? Yeah, exactly.
And
if you're ever put into that kind of situation and it's a younger person, you don't want to live with that decision.
The security officer, the kid that he shot and killed, had a hoodie on and everything. So he didn't know it was a teenager. I mean, you wouldn't know if it was a 60-year-old man or a 14-year-old boy or girl.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know.
That's very true.
And I mean, it kind of goes along with gig work too. What would you do if you started to get attacked by a teenager? Are you going to be very...
That's why I don't let him in my car.
Yeah.
How about
like,
that
nope.
Uber teen?
Yeah. Get wrecked.
That's a whole other story we could talk about. No.
I don't know. We shouldn't go down that rabbit hole tonight.
That's Steve's topic. Oh, wait, he's not here.
I did pick up, when I was doing Uber, I picked up some kids at the high school, and I know exactly what they was up to. It was a girl and a boy going to her house. But normally I wouldn't have done it, but they was only going a couple blocks. And I was new at doing rideshare. I never did a ride like that again. Because we would get requests from that address, and it was one of the high schools. So I just quit even accepting those orders or offers. So.
Crazy.
Too much
Okay,
love
Tony,
it.
you have one more story for us?
Yeah, so the main headline that I wanted to cover was this Gen Z spending $100 a day on Uber to get to work. Like,
What?
yeah, that's exactly like what, it's a clickbait for TikTok, so you can get some virality, in my opinion. But allegedly, this girl spends $100 a day to get to work on
What is
Uber
she going
and
like
brings
100
home.
miles?
She's going an hour and some way.
Yeah, it's like an hour, but it's as I remember, it's like in LA. So an hour is not that far, but it's that long, you know.
Yeah.
But she claims that after expenses for Uber, she takes home around $30 a day. And so her excuse is that she doesn't want to wake up early for the bus because that's an additional hour or the
But if you're
train.
spending $100 a day,
Yeah, she's
that's
choosing.
one heck of a car payment if you just get a car.
Well,
But
and
she
then
also lives in LA, right?
yeah, she wants to be able to do whatever on the ride there. She doesn't want to be responsible for driving and whatever
Yeah.
she's going to do on the way there. But get this, she lived next to her work and then she moved
What?
away. Yeah. And allegedly, I guess her work is moving to the area she moved to. So she chose this poison. Like, don't cry me a river about you spend all this money on Uber and you only get $30 a day. But apparently it hit home with somebody at HR because now they're reimbursing her $50 a day for the cost.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does she have people paying her bills on $30 a day? Like, I don't understand. You can't even pay rent.
Well, I don't know. I think that she's just embellishing a little bit on this whole situation.
A bicycle.
Yeah, she needs to.
I
She
don't
needs
even
to
know what
buy
to
that
say.
$700 scooter off the black market.
Like, I can understand. So here's the thing. I can understand people taking Uber to get to work, even if, okay, $100, that's a little excessive. But even if it's a lot of their take home, like each day, because number one, they don't have to, spend on insurance, and they don't have to be the one driving. And maybe she doesn't even have a driver's
Well, and
license.
then-
Like a lot, and Steve was saying this, a lot of the younger generation, they're not even getting a driver's license. So
Well,
if she
and then
doesn't have a
parking,
driver's
too.
license, she doesn't have a car, she doesn't have
Toll
to pay for
taxes.
parking, because she'll definitely have to pay for parking.
She
There's
probably
gas.
spend $600 a week in gas for that commute. Anyways.
Exactly. And then there's also the fact that while she's driving, she can't do anything else. Whereas right now, she's in an Uber. It only takes an hour. She did say if she has to take public transportation, it's an additional hour. Like,
It'll take away her time to post on TikTok. Is that like we're not driving because I'm posting on TikTok? I don't get
I
it.
guess. Who knows?
She's posting on TikTok while she's on the Uber, so
That's
she's
what I'm
making money
saying.
on TikTok, being the broke Gen Z or whatever,
There you go.
whatever her handle is.
I said
I don't
this
know.
before, but man, what are we teaching our kids these days in school? That's the only thing I'm saying.
I guarantee she wasn't homeschooled.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I'm like, yeah, she was definitely not homeschooled.
Or if she was, she was fake homeschooled.
Exactly, because that would not fly. But
She
I
was homeschooled
I
by
can see why
MTV.
some people would still spend a good chunk of change on transportation versus driving themselves. I could see it. And I can understand it, especially if, so in her case, I really don't know. But I mentioned this like a few calls ago, especially if, let's say, she has like an online business that she's doing while she's in the car. Yeah, her time is definitely worth $100 a day for sure.
Yeah, I don't think
But if she was
a Gen
making that
Z
much on
only has
social
one
media, she
job.
wouldn't be having a job to do that.
Not necessarily. Social media is still like up and down.
I don't
right?
get on TikTok, so I didn't click on her TikTok to actually investigate her following.
Oh yeah, I should click on it.
Wow.
The bad thing is, it's probably a lot higher now than before she said all that.
That
Yes,
is
she
true.
did say she didn't
Well, the
expect this
thing
to
is,
blow
it's a
up like that.
double-edged sword there. So apparently, she's ready to take the fire, but like, you're gonna get the people who empathize with you, and then you're gonna get the haters, which I'm one of the haters in her eyes.
Yeah.
Like, cry me a river. Get a different job or move closer to your work.
Or take the bus. You can still do the same thing on a bus.
But that's her time. She needs to sleep an extra hour. You're talking about Gen
Yeah,
Z
but
in LA.
You can sleep on the bus.
I think in
That
LA
too,
you have
see?
to have like 17 hours in between shifts or something.
You can video on the bus and make money on that.
She's doing Amazon reviews while she's on the Uber.
There you go.
There you go.
And sell the driver stuff while you're doing it. Because you can sell that stuff on Marketplace, on eBay.
Wow.
Yeah, so Gen Z isn't typically looked at actually with these kinds of financial attitudes. From my understanding, Gen Z is actually fiscally conservative compared to my millennial generation.
They are. By the way, she responded because someone was like, I think it's time that you wake up an hour earlier and take the bus.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to the whole video because it's a little longer, but she did say that, as you said, she used to live 10 minutes away. Now she lives an hour away, but her job is moving to 10 minutes away from her house. But it's just for this month that she has to suck it up and do it.
Well,
And then
she
she was
chose
going
to
into
move
the reasons
early.
why.
She chose
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Well, on that note, so Cheyenne, you have our next article, so go for it.
So I have two. There's one that's talking about like legal stuff, and then the other one is something that I didn't even realize was a thing for you guys in the States. So cities are cracking down on food delivery companies because of complaints that they received. So in Boston, New York, and Washington, D.C., they're cracking down on people that are using either illegally registered mopeds, scooters, or motorcycles. So what they've been doing, because they're getting a lot of complaints from pedestrians, especially older people, that they're going on the sidewalks, they're actually just driving recklessly, and they have a feeling that a lot of them are not even supposed to be driving. So what they've been doing, officials in Boston, New York, and Washington, they started, they all have their own little pilot that they have different names for. And in Boston, one Boston neighborhood, on a Wednesday, there were 14 illegal mopeds, scooters that were seized on one Wednesday in one neighborhood. So that's that. In New York, 13,000 scooters and mopeds were removed because they were illegal. They were seized. And then in Washington, they started a project called, I don't even remember what it was called anymore. But they had 5 arrests and 17 mopeds were impounded since Wednesday. So Wednesday until this article was done on Monday. Yeah, Monday. So from Wednesday to Monday, they had 5 arrests and 17 mopeds were impounded. And this is all because people are either, they don't even have a license to drive these things, or they're just driving recklessly. And they're putting people in danger. Like they're going in and out of traffic. As I said, they're going onto sidewalks, and they're actually not even respecting, like, even when they're on the road, they're not respecting the driving rules. They're not respecting the speed limit. It's a whole mess.
That's not just people who are doing DoorDash and stuff, though. I mean, I see people do that all the time just because they think that because they have that kind of transportation that the rules don't apply to them.
That is true. Well, now they're attacking the delivery apps because they even sent official communication to all of the companies, letting them know that this is what they're going to be doing and that they need to follow the traffic laws. And one of the drivers that was there, he was at a restaurant, and he said that at one point he was there and there were 10 other scooters, like drivers that were there. And police officers came and gave them a sheet to tell them how they should be registering their vehicle to make sure that, they're abiding by the law and everything like this. And I'm like, I don't understand. Shouldn't this have been done beforehand? Like, I don't know. I don't see that issue here, but.
As I say, I think in some of the areas that I deliver to, I don't think it's honestly even. Yes, these cities are cracking down, but I think a lot of areas across the country, like local enforcement, are cracking down on drivers in general. At least in a couple of my areas, like police force has been a lot more lately, and you see delivery drivers being pulled over left and right because they're doing stupid things, and it's the easiest way to crack down on some of the illegal stuff that they're doing. So yes, they're cracking down on like mopeds and electric bikes, but I think it's happening more often, even with regular drivers, than just these cities.
That's amazing.
I know here you don't even have to have a license to ride 49cc or less. But one of the guys I know that sells them, they're not marked physically on it. You have to look up under the undercarriage of the scooter to see the displacement. So the cops don't even mess with them. So you don't even have to have a license.
Wow.
Crazy.
So they can be like on a regular road or whatever, and
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them running around here now. I mean, used to it was big crotch rockets and cruiser bikes. Now you see them on these little bitty scooters going down main roads.
Yeah, I wish they would just be removed from the sidewalks, especially downtowns, because like you'll try to turn right on a road, right? And they don't follow the bike rule where if you're crossing the street, you got to walk it so that the driver can actually be aware that you're there.
Yeah.
Right.
These people just fly through and almost get annihilated by cars turning right because they're flying down like 30, 40 miles an hour on the sidewalk.
I'm seeing a lot of these electric powered unicycles too on the roads.
On the roads?
Yeah, unicycles. One wheel on the roads going 40 miles an hour right down El Dorado Boulevard.
That's scary. We get by me, like my local news is New York City news. So I swear, like every single night on the news, so and so was run down by an e-bike driver. So and so was run down by, like, it's like on the news constantly that people are just getting injured because they're hopping on the sidewalks, especially in New York City with the pedestrians. Like it's a little scary, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
They're not allowed on the sidewalks over here.
Yeah,
no, they're not supposed to be on sidewalks, but they do it anyway.
Here in Wichita Falls, we don't really, I mean, we have it downtown, but nobody goes downtown, so you don't have busy sidewalks or anything. But I am starting to see more, and like once a month or so, somebody getting hit on a bicycle because some of the bicyclers, they've started marking the side of the roads where it's legal to ride the bicycles. Right. But you have a lot of older people that, and even like me, I ignore that. If somebody's fixing to turn left, I scoot over in that bicycle lane and I just go on. But there's no bicyclers on it, or anything. But you have a lot of people that don't see that, and the bicyclers are saying, and the mopeders and stuff are saying, well, it's our legal right. And I'm like, what does it matter if you're splattered all over the road? It doesn't matter what's legal and what's not legal if you're not around to see the outcome.
Yeah, they're
legally, I can use the crosswalk, but if somebody runs over me, I'm still dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure that you're communicating with your eyes before you do stupid things, so you don't get killed by somebody who doesn't see you.
Where are you located, Brandon?
Wichita Falls. Right up. So you're in Houston. It's about 120 miles northwest of Dallas,
Yeah, I know where you are.
or northeast. Yeah, northwest. Yep.
Northwest, yeah.
I didn't realize that was such a big thing for you guys. Wow. And then this other one that I did not realize. So Starbucks isn't on Grubhub in the States?
They're on Uber. I know that.
No, only on Uber and DoorDash.
is what I've seen.
Wow. Okay, so I figured because we have Starbucks on Skip the Dishes. Granted, it's fairly new, but I figured since it's on Skip, it must be on Grubhub. But no, in Pennsylvania, Colorado, and Illinois, they are piloting like a new project to onboard Starbucks onto the app. And then after that, if it works, they're going to implement it in all the other 50 whatever states by August 2024. And I was like, wait, you guys don't have Starbucks on Grubhub?
No, but our Starbucks can barely keep up. At least mine, I have a couple in my area. They can barely keep up with the demand of DoorDash and Uber Eats. Now let's add one more. It's going to get a little backlog. Not that I think Grubhub will add a ton more.
Grubhub and Amazon. Grubhub and Amazon.
Exactly.
Watch out.
We've been saying that for how many years now? I'll believe it when I see it.
The biggest thing I miss about Grubhub was when Chipotle was, you had to use the pay card to order the Chipotle for the person, because you could order it through your app, and then you got I got so much free Chipotle during the pandemic because I'm like, oh, Chipotle, yeah, I'm doing that. Yeah, I'm doing that just to get free Chipotle. And then they went integrated, and I was like, oh, no more free Chipotle for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that you guys didn't have Starbucks on the Grubhub app. So now, hey, well, they're going to be doing it in those 3 states. And then if it works out, then in August, it's going to be everywhere else.
Interesting, because usually I know when their first contract was for Uber Eats. They were exclusive to Uber Eats for years. And then, what was it, 2 years ago? They signed DoorDash. But it was like, if I remember correctly, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, it was like a ridiculous contract for X amount of years. And so it would be really interesting to see what contract, because such a big company like that, what contract they would draft up with.
Yeah, because that's huge. I really didn't realize this. Oh, and I actually do have a last story. It's something that I just found really quickly. And I didn't even realize that this happened. But and this is a Canadian story. So gig workers in BC, so British Columbia, they are going to be paid a minimum of $20.88 per hour as of September 3rd. So British Columbia is the first province that I guess decided to put in some kind of
Is it called legislation by you? Is that what it's called in Canada?
That's what I'm like. It looks like it is. So they're saying British Columbia has become the first province in Canada to provide a minimum wage and other protections for people who work through gig-based apps like Uber, DoorDash, Skip the Dishes, and Lyft. And it's not just like the hourly pay that they're giving them. There's also other things that they're going to get. So like ride hailing service and delivery workers, they're going to be covered through WorkSafe BC. They're going to have to say their location for the drop off and pickup and the exact amount that they're going to be receiving. If they're suspended or deactivated from the app, the companies must tell them why. The companies have to ensure to give them 100% of their tips, which should have been a given already, and establish a 35 to 45% per kilometer vehicle allowance to help workers cover expenses.
Sounds like legislation to me.
Okay,
definitely does.
That's in Canadian dollars, so it's only $1.85 in US dollars. So I mean, it's not that.
Yeah, it's like nothing.
Also, are they going to give them some extra money to cover their taxes that they didn't know they were supposed to be paying?
I know that too, right? I'm assuming in BC they're going to be, pulling the strings a little bit more than all the other provinces, especially now if there's going to be this legislation that's involved.
I'm really curious, though. Does Canada call it legislation? Is that like,
at the bottom, it says, in a release, the union said it wants every province in Canada to introduce legislation aimed at ensuring rights and protection for people who work using gig-based apps.
The whole thing is, what is the customer rates going to be when they do that? Because it doesn't matter what they're paying. If customers can't afford it,
Right.
then
This is what Uber was saying. Their backlash behind it was that now it's just going to make things a lot more expensive for customers. And
They'll
plus,
have less
BC is not somewhere cheap. Like, it is not cheap to live in BC. So on top of this, it's just, yeah, this is going to be a mess.
Yeah, like, isn't
look
buying
right.
a home there like insane in most of the Canadian provinces?
Yeah, well, most of the Canadian provinces, it's crazy to buy a home. Like yeah,
over $1 million, like $1.3 million is
Easily.
like your average
Easily.
like starter
Yes,
home.
when we moved back, so we were in Montreal. When we moved to Calgary, it wasn't that bad. When we moved back to Montreal, we couldn't go back into the same area that we were in before, because yes, we wanted a bigger home, but we wanted a regular house, like, 3 bedrooms, an office, whatever. No, you couldn't get anywhere that looked like that in that area for under 1.5 to maybe 2.
Yeah. How much is that in US dollars? That's still a lot.
I don't know.
800.
Sure.
Okay, so dashing Grandpa Brandon has to get going, so we're gonna get going too. Tom, we're gonna save your article for next week if you're okay with that, and I hope everybody. I feel like we're saving your stuff for the following
Always
week.
next week. That's right. That's fine. Just forget about me. Honestly.
So anyway, guys, thank you so much for the chat, for being here. Thank you everybody for watching. Steve, hopefully we didn't disappoint you. Tony sending up balloons, well, that should do it all in itself. And I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Oh, hold on. Steve wanted me to say a new saying. I forget what it was. Hold on. I have it written down.
Hit this
I'm going to screw this up.
Don't be.
No, I'm not going to say that. He says kindness always wins, as a play on kindness is always free. So kindness always wins.
If you want to win, be kind.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.